today's video, I wanted to bring you an anti-redness foundation routine, specifically for people who deal with acne or rosacea or sunburns. And as you can probably tell, I have a terrible sunburn all over my body. I recently went to Greece and I did not wear sunscreen. The reason for that is actually pretty important, and I'll explain it like 2 minutes into the video, but I didn't wear sunscreen, and lo and behold, I got burnt. So none of my foundations match anymore. I had to get new products, and my new foundation shade is literally tomato. But I also realized that I've never really done a anti-redness routine for beginners, for people who maybe don't know how to use a green color corrector, or who don't know how to cover texture, or maybe some acne marks or bumps, or especially rosacea. Rosacea is a condition that's commonly associated with acne, and it is very, very, very sensitive to what you put on your skin. And of course you want to use products that have the right kind of sunscreen so that A, you're not causing breakouts, and B, you're not destroying the environment, and C, you're not destroying your skin. So that being said, this plump strawberry face and I are going to show you how to cover redness in a foundation routine that is meant for beginners. I swear to God, my cat hates when I film. He hates my voice. He leaves every single time I try to film a video. So the first thing that we want to do is try to neutralize a little bit of this redness, calm our skin down, and of course apply a sunscreen so that the problem doesn't get worse. Especially if you've got rosacea, one of the biggest triggers of rosacea can be the sun. If you have rosacea, I'll leave a couple of medical science links that kind of show this, but sun and sun exposure can be extraordinarily triggering to people with rosacea. So that being said, you want to take care of that. This is the All Calm from Color Science, and this is an amazing base. What's also interesting about this is that it has more of a tan and neutral base. So even though it has green undertones, it's not like applying one of these green primers that can be kind of hard to blend in. It's got a moussey kind of velvety-like texture, and it's got SPF 50. And what's also great about this SPF is that the entire Color Science line has physical sunscreens instead of chemical sunscreens. So I'm going to take this with my finger and with a little Smashbox brush and just apply this to my skin. And so when it comes to physical versus chemical sunscreens, that's actually why I didn't wear sunscreen in Greece. So before I went to Greece, I obviously packed sunscreens, but I just packed, whatever I had on hand. And when I got to Greece, I was talking to someone about the actual implications of what's in those sunscreens and how they affect the ecosystems. And I found out that a very common ingredient in most sunscreen, it's oxy. It's a Oxybenzone, oxy something. It's one of the most commonly used sunscreens in sunscreen. And unfortunately, when that gets into the ocean, it's actually killing coral reefs off of Florida and off of Hawaii. And it's actually terrible for ocean and marine life. Lo and behold, I turned over my sunscreen and it had the oxybenzonate and oxybenzonate. And also that's not natural. I Googled it because that's what I do. I found a few PubMed and a few science articles that actually show that that could be linked to skin cancer. And as sunscreen use has been going up over the years, skin cancer rates have been going up. And is that because we've gotten better at detecting skin cancer? Or is that because some of these chemical sunscreens are actually causing it? Which is extraordinarily concerning. So that's why I did not wear sunscreen deliberately in Greece, because I didn't want to jeopardize A, my skin, but also B, the natural environment there and those ecosystems. So I'm paying for it with a sunscreen, but at least my conscience is clear. And now that I'm home, I'm getting rid of the oxy sunscreens and just using the physical ones with the mineral ones, which are actually better for your skin anyways. And when it comes down to it, the All Calm does have SPF 50. The entire line is physical, which means mineral, so it's not bad, A, for your skin and B, for the environment. It's also got UVA plus UVB protection, and that's important because the sun emits many different types of rays, and the UVB ones are the ones that actually cause sunburn, but the UVA ones are the ones that actually cause aging. And what's interesting is that UVA rays can actually penetrate through windows, so even if you don't know that you're getting like a burn or an exposure, you could be prematurely aging and destroying your skin. So this is PA+++ protective. Which basically means it protects against all those different kinds of rays that could be giving you issues. And I love it because it's a very, very silky, creamy primer. It's got something called a biosolase complex. I have no idea what that is, and I'll have to like look into it. I'm pretty sure it's something that they have patented, but it's meant to provide ongoing redness relief and actually be formulated for sensitive skin. So again, if you are someone who is very sensitive to products, you know, or have rosacea, this is a great option because A, it protects against the sun, B, it doesn't have fragrance, so it's not going to irritate people who are really sensitive to that kind of thing. And then on top of that, you know, a lot of sunscreens can break out acne-prone skin, and because this is a physical sunscreen, it is safe. So applying this all over to my face. Next, it's time to color correct for anything else that is showing through. And when it comes to color correction, there are a lot of good options out there, such as a green tinted primer or some of those green concealers. But I've realized that for beginners, if you're not an artist or if you're not a makeup artist or very experienced with product, a lot of those green products can be difficult to use because sometimes they build up on skin. And if you don't know how to blend them in, or if you don't know how to properly neutralize color, you'll look like a clown, like a 3-year-old scribbled on your face with a bunch of green crayons. So that being said, I do have a neutral color corrector. This is a color corrector powder set, but what's amazing about it is that these look like normal color corrector tones. These are all powders that come off in kind of like almost like a velvety finish. And what's interesting about them is that even though they are these natural colors, they actually have green undertones, which means that they do help to color correct. Whereas if you just go in with a stick of green color corrector, if you don't know how to blend that out, it's very hard. That being said, I'm going to take a little Smashbox brush, and you can really just use this and put it up to your face as a beginner and see what works and what doesn't. If you have under eye bags, you want to use something a little bit lighter because that will kind of help neutralize those, and it usually looks better if you have a little bit of brightness under the eyes. That makes you look more awake. Any of those dark spots you can definitely color correct as well. For instance, if you have acne that's really red, you might want to use one of these slightly more yellow tones and put that right over a blemish. And then when you powder and foundation over this, it'll be completely gone. And if you do it wrong, you won't have this big green patch on your face. So this is a really great color corrector, especially if you have rosacea or if you have sunburn or skin that's constantly changing, because it does have the different colors so that when your skin changes color, you can use the color that is appropriate. I have this pimple right here. I have a nice old acne scar right here. Got a little bit of that sunburn still poking through right up here. I actually have a large patch of sunburn right here, which I'm going to use this to cover up. Also, shout out to unicorn brushes. Aren't these amazing? These are cruelty-free synthetic brushes from Pure Cosmetics, and I have an obsession. Bye bye, bye bye, you can no longer stay on my face. Maybe this is why my cat just hates me. Next, it is time for foundation. This is the Tint du Soleil Mineral whipped foundation, essentially. It's the same kind of velvety texture. Again, you warm these up with your hands. It is phenomenal. And I actually like to apply foundation with my fingertips. That really warms them up, and it really helps you just kind of push them into pores, especially if you have scars. And like I said, I had to get brand new colors. So this is in the shade medium, which normally would never really be my shade. But I'm so glad that now I got a healthy glow, and hopefully this burn will turn into a little bit more of a glow as well. But I am just going to push this into my skin, really just bring it down the neck to kind of connect with your color. Whenever you are trying on foundations, always swatch it to your neck or your chest, because so what if you match it to your face? Usually people's faces are different colors in their chest or their neck, and you want your foundation to look natural. So the best way to do that is to color match a different area here or here. Unless you're like all pink down here, then you want to do like your arm or something. And again, it has the mineral sunscreen, so it will protect without destroying the ocean or my skin. And again, it's made for sensitive skin, so holla! As you can see on my hand, it is very, very full coverage. And even if you're someone who doesn't like full coverage foundations, if you do have rosacea or redness or acne, a full coverage foundation is going to be a better option for you. And if you're okay with some of that showing through, definitely go for a lighter coverage foundation. But get something that you can build. You'll be saving your money, you know, you'll be able to do light or heavier looks, and worst comes to worst, you can get a full coverage foundation and you can always sheer it out yourself with a little bit of moisturizer. So, you know, cheap girl beauty hacks. Now that I am full coverage flawless, it is time to set with a regular powder. Now, if you were to use like a compact powder with like a beauty blender or a sponge, that might actually remove some of the foundation underneath. Anytime you're wearing layers of foundation or, you know, more full coverage, you want to be careful not to remove anything underneath. And especially with acne, that's something I always struggled with because I would make my face perfect and then I would go use a powder. I would use some sort of a sponge and it would like wipe away things and like expose the acne and the texture. So that being said, this has a built-in brush. This is the Color Science Sun Forgettable SPF 50 powder. And sometimes it gets stuck in the little bristles, but if it does, just tap it out. You can see it coming out. And this just applies a very, very light dusting without disturbing anything underneath. This does have SPF 50 and I am using the color medium because again, I need like all new products. But what's great about this is that it does keep things in place, it does keep things set, so that way, you know, when you hug someone, you don't transfer your foundation to their face. Sharing is caring, but like, you know, keep your sebum to yourself. And because this does have SPF 50, it's really good for reapplying. You know, unfortunately, when you have something like this as a primer, you can't exactly reapply this or a sunscreen over your makeup. Like, how do you reapply sunscreen over your makeup when it's like your bottom layer after your moisturizer? So that's why a powder with sunscreen is really, really effective. Because it's a way to touch up and to add that SPF that you need to reapply all the time, every day. You know, when items say like SPF 50 or SPF 80, they're not talking about a percentage of how much of the sun is blocked. That's actually a measurement of time as to how often you need to reapply it. And even if your SPF is 100, you need to reapply your sunscreen. This one's SPF 50, so you only need to reapply like every 2 hours. But always keep that in mind because if you want to stay safe in the sun and, you know, keep your skin looking good and as young as possible and just healthy, that's something you need to know. And, you know, sunscreen labels can be a little bit deceptive and deceiving and hard to understand. So I break it down so that you don't break out. Now that that's done, it is time to move on to blush. And blush is one of those things that is a quintessential part of almost everyone's routine, but did you know that the shade of your blush can actually bring out or neutralize a sunburn? These are two from Tarte Cosmetics. I absolutely love Tarte. Like Color Science, they are completely cruelty-free. And even though these are the same formula and the same brand, what's interesting is the color. This one is called Natural Beauty and it is a much redder tone. So even though it's a pink blush, it has a red undertone. This one is called Entertain and as you can see, it has a little bit more of a mauve or a brownish purple tone. Now when it comes to these, the shade of our blush is actually going to dramatically neutralize or bring out a sunscreen in our skin. If I applied this bright red, this would literally bounce off the color in my forehead, bring out the sunburn, and make my face look like a hot mess. Whereas if I use this one has a different undertone that will not bring out the redness that is my current state of face. And I know for beginners it can be really, really hard to like know what is the undertone of my blush. Is it the right color? Is it the wrong color? And a really easy way to figure that out is actually to get out a t-shirt. Get out a red t-shirt, get out a purple t-shirt and hold up your blushes or your colors next to them. And what looks alike and what just naturally looks like it goes together, you can kind of tell the undertone from that. So that being said, avoid these red undertone pinks and go with something like a mauve or a purple. I am using this one. I am using, of course, my Unicorn Magical brush from Pure Cosmetics, and I am just going to tap this onto my cheeks. Especially when you do a really good job at foundation application, it neutralizes all the color, but that can also make you look a little bit ghosty or a little bit poltergeisty. And unless you're trying to be in one of Shane Dawson's conspiracy theory videos, you probably want a little bit of a healthy glow to your face. So So I am just popping this onto the apples of my cheeks, bringing it up that cheekbone, and voila, we are done. You see how alive this side of my face looks? So once you are finished with your blush, you can continue with whatever else you want. You can do contour, you can do eyebrows, you can do eyeshadow. It really does not even matter what other colors you're using on your lips and your eyes and the rest of your face. But that is pretty much how I conceal sunburns. If you have acne marks that are very red, if you have rosacea that is very red, and if you are a beginner who wants to cover redness on your face, these are my techniques, these are my tips, these are the products I use, and the advice that I would give to you. So I really hope that you enjoyed. If you have any other tips, please post them in the comments, or if you know of any really good mineral sunscreens, because physical and mineral sunscreens are what I will be using moving forward, just because of, you know, the oxy that I don't want to destroy the oceans or my body with. Again, check out the bottom tab below for all of those links to medical papers, to everything I used, and of course for a thought of the day. Did you know that I post thoughts of the day in every single video description? And if you didn't know that, you're just gonna have to go back through the archives of my videos and look at every single one so you can laugh your butt off for the next hour. Anyways, guys, I hope that you know that I love you so much. Remember that beauty is not something we are just given. It is something that we have to learn, and it is something that we have to earn. So earn your beauty today by giving someone else a hug or a smile, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.